Just look into the eyes of the people that you love.
Hello Marvel fans, thanks so much for clicking on this video. My name is Chris. We finally have here our first teaser trailer for Thor Love and Thunder. And yes, I want to remind you guys, this is a teaser trailer. I'm already seeing Marvel fans going crazy that this trailer did not give them enough, that what the heck was this? We need more substance. Where's Gorr the God Butcher? And even though, yes, we're impatient because the movie's 3 months away, we also got to think Marvel's focusing on Doctor Strange 2 and the Multiverse of Madness. So let's just be happy they gave us this trailer now instead of in 2 or 3 weeks when the movie comes out. But what I'm going to do here for you guys is giving you my trailer breakdown on Thor Love and Thunder, pointing out some Easter eggs you might have missed, just explaining to you what might be going down in this new Thor movie. But I'm also need your guys' opinions down below. How do you feel from this teaser trailer? Do you think you're going to like this movie? I actually really like the direction of where this is headed. I was kind of on the fence of Thor getting another movie, but now seeing what they're going to go ahead and be doing and the things they're planting, I'm like, yo, this could actually be really great. As well as don't be forgetting to hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already. Alright, so with the trailer for Thor Love and Thunder, it opens up here with a young little Thor running through the forest as we go ahead and start to see him age over the years. I like how at one point you see him in his iconic classic costume from the comics, yellow boots and all. Even though this really comes off like terrible cosplay, I think it's always nice when the movies try to bring that in. Then we see him change into what looks a little more familiar to his MCU appearances, particularly Thor the Dark World, to present day in a costume I think looks really great for him. That has been one of the controversial things with Thor Love and Thunder. With all the releases and leaks of his upcoming suits in this film, there's been a lot of pushback with fans of Thor of some of his newer appearances, but I gotta say, this one right here I think suits him well. But after Thor is walking through this fire and Sweet Child of Mine plays in the background, we find Thor going ahead and burying Stormbreaker at the top of this cliff near a tree, basically having an existential crisis where he's trying to figure out who he is. And these first like 20 seconds of the trailer is why I'm on board for this movie and I'm no longer hesitant on it. Because if you've been keeping up with Thor's story throughout the MCU, you know I think his character is arguably the one that has gotten the most damage out of all the Avengers. No, seriously, I mean his entire world was destroyed, his father's dead, his mother's dead, he believes his brother's dead. He failed the universe already at one point with letting the universe snap away. Now with all of that behind them, Asgard now being rebuilt on Earth, I think Thor just literally wants to find peace with himself, and that's the journey we're gonna see him go through here. And we get a bit of an idea of that journey he's gonna be going through with starting off with Fat Thor. We all knew that this was gonna be happening some point in this movie. How are they gonna explain Thor looking from this all the way to looking like this again? And it looks here like we're gonna get some sort of training montage. I'm really hoping it's like a Rocky style montage. I also want to point out the hat on his head does say the strongest Avenger, which is kind of like an ongoing joke with Thor. He loves to believe that he is the strongest Avenger, transitioning us to his buff transformation here alongside the Guardians. Now, a couple of things to notice from the outfit here he has when he's traveling with the Guardians is one, we do see again those iconic yellow boots that Thor wore in his classic costume, but also he has a Ravager jacket that it looks like he ripped the sleeves off, of course, wanting to show off his muscles and make Chris Pratt's Star-Lord feel intimidated. The other thing you want to go ahead and notice is the shirt he's wearing underneath is most likely of Yggdrasil. I definitely mispronounced that, but we have seen this tree before in the MCU, known as the Tree of Worlds. This is something that Thor used to explain to Jane Foster back in the first Thor movie, and it's just basically a representation Asgardians used to describe where the 9 worlds are located. But back to what's going on here, it appears that after the events of Endgame, Thor decided to hop on and tag along with the Guardians of the Galaxy, going on an adventure with them. However, in some of these key moments, it looks like Thor just really isn't getting along with the Guardians, or he's getting in the way of their adventures, trying to be the leader of the team, which is why you could see Star-Lord being super annoyed with Thor's antics. Now, they are doing a bit of trickery with the editing here because these moments happen at different times. With Thor being in his suit that he had in Endgame, I think it's safe to assume that this is one of the first missions that Thor goes on with the Guardians, and you could see the new lineup of Guardians here, all pretty much members that we would expect: Mantis, Nebula, Groot, Rocket. But the latest addition here, James Gunn's brother, Sean Gunn, playing Kraglin, wearing Yondu's mohawk in order to control that arrow. But the one you want to look out for that is missing from the team is Gamora. I think that's going to be a central plot point that they deal with Guardians of the Galaxy 3, is going out to look for Gamora, since this is a version of her from a different timeline that doesn't have the connection to Star-Lord and this team just yet. But it looks like eventually, after the Guardians help Thor kind of get him back up on his feet and happy again, they go off to do their own mission, leaving behind Thor and Korg to go ahead and continue with theirs. Bringing us to a shot of New Asgard here in Norway on Earth, where we're finally introduced to the two magical goats that we'll be meeting in this movie. Now, these two goats are named Tooth Gnasher and Tooth Grinder. Really interesting details involved with these goats. For one, they're immortal beings that can regenerate themselves. So there have been versions in the comics where Thor is literally feasting on these goats, but is only taking parts of them that can be regenerated and won't kill them. They're also extremely strong, one of the only beings that are capable of breaking Thor's hammer. But probably the most important fact and what they're going to be used for in this movie is that they're used to travel to the 9 different realms. And on this ship here, you can see that Valkyrie is on board alongside Korg and Thor there with them. There is another member here off to the side. It's kind of hard to tell who it is. We could assume it's most likely going to be Jane Foster's character as Mighty Thor, but it could be someone else. Also want to point out that they decorated it with a neon sign there that says cocktails and daiquiris, I'm assuming. From there, we also get our first shot of what I'm assuming to be is Olympus. One of the things we found out from the behind the scenes casting of Thor Love and Thunder is that we'll be meeting a lot of Olympic gods in this movie. One of them being Russell Crowe, who plays Zeus. And this place is absolutely beautiful, but I imagine it has to be when you're bringing in Olympus. This also makes up for something I was kind of worried about with Thor Love and Thunder, is with the main villain being Gorr the God Butcher, which yes, does not show up in this trailer at all, which I'm kind of fine with. Save that for the next trailer. The quick summarization of Gorr the God Butcher and his origin from the comics is that he lived basically a terrible life, almost similar to Thor right now, where he lost his parents, he lost his wife, and he lost his child, and he blames it all on the gods for never looking after him, believing that since the gods don't care about him, he should go ahead and eradicate all of them, thus earning the name Gorr the God Butcher. He's able to go ahead and match up against gods when he stumbles upon this weapon called the all-black Necrosword. Now, this sword is really unique because it's made out of the symbiote, the same type of stuff that makes Venom and the Black Spider-Man suit, although it usually takes on the form of a sword and grants Gorr with all these abilities to be able to fight gods. And my main problem ever since I heard him as a villain, I'm like, aren't most of the Asgardians like dead? Seriously, we went from having like an entire planet of Asgardians to now just a small group of them living on Norway on Earth. How many gods are really out there for Gorr to go ahead and butcher up? But now seeing here that he's most likely on his way to Mount Olympus and taking care of all these other gods, Thor might be on his way to warn them and try to help them out with destroying Gorr. And I mean, just looking at some of these shots, there are a lot of gods for Gorr to go ahead and take down. I also wonder if this will be the introduction of Marvel's Hercules. It'd be the perfect time to introduce him. Other shots here is one we get what I'm assuming is sort of a daydream for Thor, where he's acting up as a pirate and then kissing a damsel in distress. That definitely seems like something Thor would be making up in his head, and then we get to see it play out. We also get a quick glimpse at Thor's new suit in this movie that has been a little controversial, the blue and gold. It actually does not look bad right here. I think it actually looks great. I think it's whenever he gets to his final form in this suit that I want to know what that looks like on screen, because there is definitely too much gold, but now I think it's pretty safe to assume that the Olympic gods make this suit for him, and that's where he gets it. And with that in mind, that actually makes a lot more sense, because that place was like filled with gold. We also see that Stormbreaker is sort of working as the energy source, similar to the Bifrost, to go ahead and get them to this location involving all the other gods. Now, this gorgeous shot right here is directly pulled from the comics. What we're looking at right here is Thor staring at an acquaintance that he once knew named Foligar the Behemoth. Believe it or not, this creature laying dead was once a god. So this most likely is one of the first casualties of the gods that Thor is discovering on his journey trying to figure out who is doing this. Here's also where we get a couple of glimpses involving New Asgard on Earth. You can see it's kind of becoming a sort of tourist location where you can see people gathering up here at a rock, wanting to take pictures, cruise ships in the background that I'm assuming stop by. There's even a van here titled New Asgard Tours with Thor's Mjolnir as a logo. This, I think, will be a big plot point in Thor Love and Thunder, is just the political side that Valkyrie has to go through now that she's king of Asgard. You could definitely see she's annoyed and not loving all the diplomacy involved with it, since it's probably very different from the way Asgard was probably run back in her day, but being that she's on Earth, she kind of has to play along with the rules of the world. Wouldn't be surprised if at the end of this movie, the Asgards just moved to where Olympus is. Also like that you can see Meeks over here in a suit. That is adorable. Finally then though, ending the trailer off with a put back together Mjolnir. As you remember in Thor Ragnarok, it was destroyed by Hela, and the other hammer from Endgame had to be taken back to its own timeline, so they didn't keep that hammer, being summoned by Jane Foster, played by Natalie Portman, as our new mighty Thor. And I gotta say, I love her helmet, I love her outfit, everything is looking good with her. It's awesome to see her come to fruition in this movie. As a quick rundown, if you don't know her origin from the comics, Jane Foster at one point gets cancer. This is at the same time Thor has lost being worthy with Mjolnir, where Jane is then picked as the next worthy person to lift the hammer. Only caveat is the more she becomes Thor, the more her cancer gets accelerated. But because Jane is worthy and believes she should be helping people, she does not want to stop being Thor, so this is costing her her life. It's not really known if they're going to follow this exact storyline. I'm sure they'll take small elements of it, but I'm really curious to see who puts the hammer back together. How does Jane get a hold of it? Does it just go to her like a Green Lantern ring, or does she stumble across it and picks it up? The other thing to notice about this shot, you can kind of see hellish looking creatures in the background, and this might be the work of Gorr the God Butcher. In the comics, with his sword, he's able to summon these things known as all black berserkers. These are all black animalistic creatures that just go crazy, and it looks like they're just attacking a town on Earth. But like I said, I think this was a great teaser trailer for Thor Love and Thunder. It gave us a taste of the movie, some of the themes that might be going down, but it didn't spoil too much and still left us open to what could be coming next. I want to know from you guys, are there any things you picked up here that I might have missed? Any thoughts or theories to what will be going down? Anything and everything, be sure to like, subscribe, follow me on Twitter at 3C Films or on TikTok at 3C Films. But as always, I'm Chris. Take care.